Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's the Rare Hunter, and with me today is Spencer Freeman, Master Deck Builder, Flesh and Blood Nationals Top 8, Battle Spirits Launch Event Top 4, and most recently, Battle Spirits, what was it? It was Palm Springs Grand Open Top 8 as well. Welcome,
That's
Spencer.
me. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the channel. It's our annual face reveal
Oh, yes.
because we
Been a while.
finally are doing a deck profile again. So this time, why are we playing Battle Spirits actually?
Why? I mean, you texted me and you're like, let's play this game right before Vegas. And I was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's super fun, though. I like the deck building in this game.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. We didn't get to have a chat after Vegas, but you top forward the launch event and you also tested with Austin who got first place. It seems
Yeah.
like you're doing pretty well in this game. How do you feel about it compared to some of the other games that you've played previously?
I felt pretty confident going into both the events, maybe just because of the amount of testing that me and Austin did. We tested like every single card in every color. And so we felt pretty confident about what people were going to bring and just how to play the game correctly. So
Okay. So for the launch event, we didn't get a deck profile, but you top forward with this white tempo list. But now
yeah.
at the Grand Open, you decided to switch to this purple deck. Can you tell me like why you decided to switch?
Yeah, I actually really wanted to play purple in Vegas. I almost did it. I had it all sleeved up, and I was pretty much only testing that at Vegas right before the event. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna play white. I was just scared to play the mirror, honestly. And I don't know if scared was the right word. I was like, surely people did like a decent amount of testing, and I was like, do I really want to sit down and play these mirrors? Because if you ever played the purple mirror, most mirrors in this game aren't that fun, but the purple mirror is just awful. It felt really high rolly. It felt like I needed to like main some cards that I really wouldn't want to main just to get the hedge. So I was just like, okay, I'll play this white tempo list. It'll be unique, and I think it has a good like key into the rest of the meta. So
Okay, that's interesting. I actually wanted to know like playing purple. Um, purple isn't very popular in like the North American circuit from what I've seen. But purple does a lot better in Europe. Do you feel like purple was the right deck choice for Palm Springs?
yeah, I really do. I especially pre Axe Spider, I think like this is the best deck. I felt good all day in all my matchups. Just has the best spread into everything.
Okay. Well, I think that's all of the questions I wanted to ask before I forgot them. So let's just go
Nice.
into the deck. Do you want to go over any particular cards, or should we just read the card names for our viewers who might be hard of seeing, perhaps?
Either way, we can talk about the deck first, and then I'll talk about key cards that you don't see here.
Okay, sure. So first off, we have three Camelot Knights. What do you think about
Yes.
this card?
Um, Personally, I called it Blocker Knight when I played it. It's just a one drop that has some other it does other things sometimes. Um, the purple cards fight for having the soul core, which is sometimes annoying, which is why this card isn't at 4 because it's like pretty shitty. So 1 or 2k, 2k 3 cores. It's like so bad. But what it really does is it's a free card if you have a purple thing on the field, and it reduces the next thing. And sometimes I would just use it literally as like Lotus Petal, just like oh gain a mana and just put it in my grave, or I just use it as a blocker. Drawing it late game is actually very strong because it's a free curse card that costs nothing and pressures your opponent for lethal, and also very good with Meduke. But like
Okay.
early game, it's just ramp.
And it looks like besides Camelot Knight, you don't play any other one or two drops in your main. So are there any reasons for that?
You could call the Dark Knight, the third card, kind of like a one drop. This card is gas. I could play more than 4, I would, which I might play that zero cost spirit just because it says draw a card on it. The new one that's coming out, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's you don't really want to play anything that is low cost in a control deck. Then you have to because they're usually low value cards that are just dying for free. The reason I like this one is because it says draw a card, so it gets to block, draw a card, and also says curse on it, so sometimes gets to pressure your opponent in the late game.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty interesting because in Battle Spirit Saga, we start with 4 cores. So basically, we're able to play any of these 4 cards. So we have Beldegor of the Dark World 7, Dark Knight Aglovale, and Dark Lancer Cavaliere. Uh, are those just the best 3 and 4 drops? Oh, I guess just these two.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
think so. Earth Spider Demon is also like, nuts when you're going second. They usually just kill something for free. It's not like ideal that you're attacking your opponent right away and giving them a core, but for the ability to just kill something always and then have this thing stick around, and your opponent's like, okay, now I really can't put something on the field with 1 core anymore. Like they're not incentivized to go wide anymore when they see this card. So that's why I like this one. Um,
Wasn't there a
Also in this
card
game, I
that
try.
wasn't there a card that Tyler played that was very similar?
Oh yeah, like I forgot his name, Murmasa. It's the one that it has an on summon, remove a core.
Oh man, sorry guys. You're just gonna have to look for wait and watch me look for this card so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. Oh,
Um, yeah, I think it's M something.
oh,
There it is.
this one?
Murmur. Yeah, the mummy.
Mamira. Okay. So
Yeah.
why weren't you playing this card?
So this card is a 1K, which is really small.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean 2K is pretty small too, but I do like understand like, hey, you play it, you don't have to attack, you kill something, but you're adding another win summon to your deck, and I don't really think that's the best. Also, the Earth Spider Demon, like I said, sticks around and pressures your opponent even just by its mere existence, because you can always
Mm-hmm.
just swing and kill another thing.
Okay, okay. Well, let's go back to the actual deck. How do I just save this? Um,
Doomed.
View. There we go. All right. So you don't play that, and you were mentioning that you're adding another win summoned. Is
Yeah.
that something that is a concern for you? Because we all know like siding something like Star Blessed Straw or Counter Sword is pretty good against purple decks. Is that something that you try to actively
Yeah.
play around then?
I occasionally play around Starblast Straw. The Lancer usually comes out fairly early. Um, and just draws a card. And as soon as I see my opponent's set a burst and I have a Lancer and I don't need to play it, I usually just hold it. Because I don't need if I like don't need to play the card, then there's no reason to let my opponent draw 4 cards. I'll wait until they do something very core intensive, so they can't pay the extra mana. Um,
Okay. Okay. So
yeah.
I guess we just went over the 1 drop, the 2 3 drops, and the 2 4 drops. Would you say that these cards are, I guess, more for blocking early aggression, kind of replacing themselves?
Yes.
Okay.
When I build decks too, I usually try to have 10 cards that I want to play turn one.
Okay.
I would say this deck has 8 cards that I really want to play turn one with the Dark Knight and Purple Smoke Valley, and then there's a few cards that I'm like okay playing turn one, like the Camelot Knight, and I'm okay playing Beldegor. If I literally have dog shit in my hand, I'll play Beldegor out. But I
And
try to
and
aim for 10 cards that are playable.
you were mentioning that Mamira being a 1K kind of made you not want to play it. How important are stats in a purple deck?
Um, I mean, at the end of the day, the stats I guess like don't matter too much. There's just a couple 1K interaction cards that maybe people don't play at all, so I don't have to worry about it. Like there's the red one on the Nexus that I'm sure no one knows about where stars are born.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I, but also the white aggro deck has a lot of things that start at 1K.
Hmm.
So you having something that has at 2K just can block those things and make them put more cores on it. The 1K definitely never value trades in that sense.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, let's just finish up the rest of the deck because I feel like I'm asking way too many questions. But I just have a lot of questions about this deck as well. So next up, we have Dark Knight Mordred as your 5 drop, um, 4 bishop,
Yeah.
2 Meduke, and 4 Curse Dragon. So why
Yeah,
this ratio?
lots to unpack here. So, I like playing four of the combo. If you're gonna play the curse combo, I think you just play four of it because you want to see it.
Can
Three's
you
not
tell
enough.
us
Like
more
you,
about the curse combo for our viewers who might not know?
of course, we play Dark Bishop, Baculus. I just call him Skeleton. No one understands what I'm saying, but it's call him. He's a skeleton, right?
Okay.
He removes all but one core, so everything on the field, including your cards, go to one core. Of course, you can re-add cores to your cards after you play them. And
Hmm.
then we play Big Daddy Curse Dragon, and he removes one core from everyone and then gives you a core back for each one you kill. So it's just a board wipe. You just kill everything, including your own stuff, which, to be honest, when I casted it, I usually kill around two of my own things a lot just because of how mana intensive the combo is. That's usually okay because you have two big bodies now and like five, six, seven extra cores than your opponent.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that the cores that you gain from killing your own guys also ramp you, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Camelot Knight will also ramp you in the late game. What a crazy card when you go to kill it.
How many cores do you need to actually play this combo at the cheapest?
And
Without anything on board, I
if you have
guess.
if you have like literally nothing on board, right? You have to pay the six cores for the skeleton, and then you have to
Hmm.
pay seven cores um for the dragon. But you have to have one of those cores originally on your skeleton. So it's 7 plus 7, so 14 cores.
Because you
With the
can
full
move the
reduction,
core from the skeleton.
yes, you can reveal the curse dragon, which makes it cost 7, but then you use the skeleton core and put it on the dragon.
Excellent. Do you think
Very
that
expensive.
playing these 8 cards in the main was a hindrance into your aggro matchups? Because it seems like it's a lot of like it's very expensive.
I don't think so. It is expensive, but if the aggro deck chooses to go super wide, you could literally just play Curse Dragon and kill their whole board and win the game.
Oh, that's
Um,
true. You don't even have to
like
play the
yeah,
Baculus.
if they just play three dudes and hit you and you go to two, you have enough mana to play Curse Dragon. So you just go Curse Dragon, kill your field, gain 3 mana, play another card, and be like, hopefully you have 2 to 3 dudes, and say, try to kill me now. Um, it's pretty hard.
Now, I think in the original list that you sent me, when we played in Vegas, I don't think we main boarded any Medukes. So why are we playing
We
two
didn't.
in this list?
Uh, so I like the meta, in my opinion, what people were going to be playing. I had a expectation of a lot of yellow, which is why I wanted to play purple in the first place because I think purple just
Mm.
beats yellow. But I knew there was going to be a lot of the first and second place lists from Vegas, which were the Terra Dinosaur deck and White Control, and Meduke shits on both those decks,
Oh,
especially the
okay.
Dinosaur deck. The Dinosaur deck literally has no answer for this card, besides I don't know, Volcanic breaking it 3 times when it only has like 4 cores on it. It's it's just disgusting. It's so broken that they can't even swing with Giganto Rex anymore because their whole board becomes too big, and then they
Mm.
lose the game because I have one card. So this just instantly it's the dinosaur matchup. Also, white has no answer besides Dream Bomb, which is a temporary stall and usually not fast enough.
And how often are you using this Blood Curse ability to lock your opponents out of the game?
I actually won like a lot of my games on Blood Curse. I would just wait till I had enough cores and then stack them all in Meduke, and then we play the Blocking Knight and put like 7 cores on them, and I'm like, attack. Good luck. Yeah, it's so small that pretty much it always dies if it's blocked. So it's just one free damage.
Mhm.
And when they're at one, they're just dead. They're dead to the night.
All right. That's a good reason to include Meduke. Now, I guess finishing it up, we have 6 Nexus. We're playing 4 Purple Smoke Valley and 2 Netherworld Depths. Any comments on your Nexus split? Why 6 Nexus?
Um,
Why 4-2?
uh, sometimes, I guess a lot of the time I think about the Nexus split, how many Nexus I won on the deck. I just knew I wanted 4 Purple Smoke Valley. I
Mm-hmm.
actually won 2 games with its level 2. So it's very relevant. I just played Skeleton, put everything to one, and then swung with two curse guys, and they're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, good game." So it's kind of cool when you do stuff like that. But Purple Smoke Valley is just so strong to play this turn one, give everything reduction, and then if your opponent tries to punish you for playing a Nexus, you play, like what is it, like 11 cards in your deck: Core
Hmm.
Drain, Mordred, um, Earth Spider, and you just kill their card and draw a card. Like, and then after that, you're so far ahead, it's pretty crazy. Um, the reason I'm not playing multiple depths is because I'm playing Meduke, and the minute you
Okay.
start putting all this really, really expensive stuff in your deck, it becomes hard to cast your cards. So I was like, hey, I usually play 4 depths, so I'll play 2 depths and 2 Meduke. Surely it'll even out.
Ah, okay. So originally you would have 8 Nexus. Uh, did you
Yeah,
feel like that this was a good ratio for your matches at Palm Spring?
I did. I wish Purple had like another good control Nexus that was cheap. I don't think they do right now. I'm sure they will one day. I think Netherworld Depths is very expensive. And honestly, if I would make any changes to this deck, I would consider cutting this card completely, which is going to be very weird for a lot of people because everyone loves drawing cards. This is like everyone's favorite card. It's just that Burning Force costs less in this card, so usually you're negging yourself on resources by playing it
Yeah.
if they just Burning Force it away. Also, like if I'm against white aggro, I don't know how you ever have time to say, "Hey, I'm gonna take a turn off and play Nexus." Like you usually just die.
It's actually pretty interesting because
Um,
I played against someone who played this, and we were stalled in like a mid game scenario where I couldn't really attack because he played the Netherworld with say like 3 blockers,
yeah,
and then he started attacking me, and I was like, oh, I have to block. So when I blocked, he drew a card. It felt like this is pretty good in those board stall scenarios.
yeah, I agree. But I also say like 99% of those board states, purple's just gonna win anyway. I feel like if you survive past turn three against white, usually win. I did lose in our match, of course, in top 16,
Mm,
where it was very late in the game. Um, Maybe because I wasn't attacking and I should have been, but I just never drew an ice shield. I was like 25 cards in my deck, and I was just like, hey, one ice shield, and I'll swing with my entire board because I know you don't have one in.
yeah,
But
that's fair. And I guess the last few cards in the deck,
core
3
drain,
Core Drain,
three, three
4
core drain.
Deadly Balance, and 4 Absolute Ice Shield. These
Yeah.
are pretty good. I think when I played against you, I was like, man, why do purple's cards cost so little after all these reduction?
Yeah, Deadly Balance, like costing one is like literally disgusting. If you're not playing four of this in your purple deck, I think you're doing it wrong. I see a lot of lists that play three. There's a lot of fun tricks you can do. Also, just like if your opponent plays one card, even a white aggro, if they just go like 3 drop and you're like Deadly Balance it, you slow them down a lot because that deck operates off reduction. So Deadly Balance slows them down a lot. You also do Beldegor tricks by killing your 4 drop in combat to bring back Beldegor, which is MVP of the deck. We didn't really talk about Beldegor that much, but
We'll come back to
uh,
him. We'll come back to him.
I'll come back. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
So
come
you want
back.
to be playing for Deadly Balance. Core Drain. I had a love hate relationship with this card. There's a lot of games where I'm like looking at 3 of them, and I'm like, huh. But like when you're looking at 3 of them, you also got to realize, hey, my opponent's not attacking me right now. So like as soon as they attack me, I get to kill their card. It's a really good out to literally everything. Usually people don't put more than 3 cores on something. Also, the second effect of buffing a card is very, very good with Meduke because you can buff
Mm.
your opponent's cards. And your opponent tries to go under Meduke, and you're like, no, 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 your card is now equal or bigger than Meduke. You trade the Meduke, and your Meduke restands, and you get to block with it again, and they take a life. And they're like, oh,
Wow, that is a pro tip. I actually
yeah,
never really thought about that.
yeah. So
Pretty
buffing your opponent's
interesting.
cards, very strong.
Yeah, that's a really interesting interaction. I definitely have to say that Core Drain feels like one of those cards playing on the other side of purple. It feels like you're only out to a lot of situations, and it's just such a good out because just removing cores can get around a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, Core Drain pretty good. It feels like you definitely need the Netherworld Depths to kind of back you up with cards in order to play it.
Sometimes I feel like purple does a really good job at winning on card value. I think Belgador usually wins on card value, like one to infinite cards.
Mm.
Usually you play it, kill something, and maybe it chumps later and it comes back, kills something. So this is such a huge card value engine that I was okay. Not like I didn't really ever win off depths. Besides maybe my purple mirror that I played like round three or something. Which I do think the card is good in the mirror. But other than that, I felt like I had so much more card advantage to my opponent just from like little advantages. Purple Smoke Valley drawing one card and then getting Burning Forest is +1 for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Dark Lancer that draws the card on ETB and trades with the card, that's +1 for you.
Yeah,
So
this
there's a
card's
lot of
pretty nice.
+1s that are happening. And as soon as you get Meduke on your board state, your opponent usually needs to like -5 themselves to play the game. So, you know,
Okay, so I do have a few questions. That's just the main board for everyone. You're only playing 4 bursts in this deck
yeah.
in Absolute Ice Shield. Did you feel like that was enough? Um, and it's also like your only
Um,
non-purple card in the main.
yeah, I in this game originally I loved color mixing and I've stopped doing it as much. I think there's some really cool cards you can splash sometimes, but I think you want to be monocolor as much as possible. You have to play 4 Ice Shields. I don't think it's a Starblast draw meta. Even some of the dinosaur decks were cutting it to 2 or 3. It's just there's not a lot of unsummons outside of this deck. If it's a super heavy purple meta, like I never play depths and I just play 4 Star Blast draw and I'm pretty happy.
That's interesting. I actually really hate Star Blast Draw, even though I really like the alternate art for it. I think when I
Really
was
pretty.
playing White Control in Vegas, it felt like I could never get off Star Blast Draw, and then paying 4 cores to draw 2 cards was pretty awful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would agree with you that I don't really think that this is a Star Blast Draw meta. What about something like
Yeah.
Dream Bomb or any of the other bursts?
Dream Bomb is incredibly powerful, but it is way too many cores outside of a white deck, I think. I know the yellow luster decks even try to play it sometimes, and that's just so expensive to pay the entire cost of Dream Bomb.
Hmm.
Um, but it is a very good card.
Okay. Let's just, I guess, jump into the sideboard really quick, and then I'll have some more questions after. So you have
Cool.
3 head Icemaid Fulla. What are these coming in for?
So that was about my only hedge for the mirror. Again, I didn't think there'd be much purple, even though I played it twice. I played 1 purple control and 1 purple aggro. Um, but I actually ended up siding this card in versus white aggro every time. I just found that there is expensive cards that I could take out, even though this card is literally dog shit against white aggro. It's just like, hey, there's something in my hand that I can play instead of this card that I could never cast. Like for example, depths. Like I
What would
would take out my
you?
depths.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would take out depths against and my 4 purple smoke valleys against white aggro because you don't want any nexus. So I already need 6 cards to come in. Um, and I would bring in the Fullas, the 2 Angelic Pressures, and the Purple Rain.
Okay.
We'd also side out a Skeleton and a Meduke, usually is how I played it.
Okay.
So,
So we do have these other cards. So you have 2 Medukes, 2 Angelic Pressures, and 3 Bloody Rain. We'll come back to this card later because there's a lot to talk about for that.
yeah.
What are you bringing in the 2 extra Medukes for?
Just another thing maybe I change. I don't know if we need 4 Medukes in this deck. I think 3 is probably enough just because how sticky the card is. I
Hmm.
just really wanted to see it. But again, it's just to make sure you draw the card against the Dino deck, white control. Um, pretty much anything that wants to fight for board. So pretty much any red deck you want Medukes in.
Do you ever side out your 2 mainboard Medukes?
I would occasionally take one of them out against white aggro. I actually found this card is how you can close the match versus white aggro. So then I had mixed thoughts on
Hmm.
Meduke because I was like, yeah, it's really expensive, but if I don't want the game stalling too long, because maybe the white aggro brings you to time and you lose in time, Meduke is a great way to win that.
It did feel like in our top games that Meduke did help you close the game because when the white aggro deck didn't kill you, it felt like we went for a really long game where the white aggro is just trying to build up enough bounce spells to get around your board, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying because I'm just waiting for cores to do my core combo.
Mm-hmm.
And if nobody's attacking anyone, you just have to pass 8 times. So, I'm like, hey man, your turn. Hey man, your turn. Like, there's really nothing you can do because I'm like, I just need so many cores. And then you realize that, hey, I have like 3 or 4 or 5, or we're playing this long game. I have 8 bodies on board. So now I don't want 14 cores. I want 20. So now I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I gotta pass those 20 cores. But you know that you have this inevitable win. It's just that it takes so long that Meduke will come out earlier and start pressuring your opponent right away.
Okay.
Uh,
These two angelic pressures, these seem like they're pretty good against aggro. Are there any other matchups that you would want just like a targeted -3,000 removal?
I play it versus white as well. A combat trick versus white is actually kind of good. It also kills Fulla
Yeah.
if they don't put 4 cores on it. And if your opponent's putting 4 cores on Fulla and 2 cores on Rocket City, they're probably not playing the game very well against you. It's just way too many cores not doing anything. So just having them in and your opponent knowing that they're in makes the play worse.
This is you're talking about like versus white control, right? So white control,
Yes.
their strategy is perhaps putting a full on board, protecting their Armor Dragon Enterprise, and then establishing Elk, while perhaps having Rocket City to slow you down. It does sound
Mm,
like that is a lot of core investments to stop you from doing things. So
yeah.
yeah. All right, and lastly, we're back to this Bloody Rain, Purple Rain.
Yeah.
Um,
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain. Why did you side this card, Spencer?
So I was testing the night before, and like I said, I really did feel like this is the best deck in the format before X Spider. I felt favored into everything. I don't think I had a single bad matchup, but when I sat down against like throw up white deck that didn't even play suppression or ice shields, like I was like, oh wow, this matchup's really scary. It was just back and forth. We were just taking games from each other. So I was like, okay, this is a 50-50 matchup. Well, what can I do to hedge? And I realized that if Bloody Rain, if I could just stop one attack without paying any mana, I would win the game. And
Mm-hmm.
Bloody Rain is exactly the card for that. And sometimes it actually turns off if your opponent doesn't see it coming, you could turn off like 3 attacks. If they have 3 or 4 dudes all at one core and they swing, you're like Bloody Rain, you're like, okay, my turn. Right? You just ice shielded them and you spent 0 mana to ice shield them, which is the really important part of this card, is you didn't pay anything. Which is what you need because you need all of your cores to put bodies on the field. You can't save 4, uh, for an effect. So this being free is just crazy.
Yeah. Did you bring this in against any other decks?
No,
Okay.
it was an
Okay.
exclusive card for white aggro. Maybe if there was like another just crazy aggressive deck. I didn't even bring it in versus the purple aggro deck because that deck usually has extra cores and less dudes on board. They usually stack their guys because to get their curse effects. So it really was just for white aggro. And I found that if I drew this and the first 2 turns of the game, it was very good for me.
Yeah. Interestingly, in our game, I kind of saw that you were trying to read your card, and I'm like, I know what card you drew.
Yes,
And then you
you
put it in your
played around
burst,
it.
and I had to
Mhm.
play around it. And if any of you guys that are watching this watch the top game, it was pretty interesting. I had to play around this card by basically waiting to get enough cores and making sure that my last few attackers had multiple cores on them, at least 2 to 3, to be able to attack multiple times with regain to close out the game. So Bloody Rain may not be the best past the first few turns, but I think honestly it took me so long to build up that many cores and to pretty much draw exactly all the dream bombs that I needed and all the Valkyries that I needed to win that game. So I feel like
Seven
it was
bounces or something.
yeah, it was like pretty fortunate on my end to do that. I think I was like waiting for my second Valkyrie for the go button kind of thing, and then I was like halfway
Yeah,
through, I was kind of just pushing damage to see if I can close the game, and then I realized I had the third dream bomb, and I was like, oh, I guess I would just bounce this Camelot Knight and see if I can win through
yeah,
that. But
and
but
it
yeah,
was good.
pretty interesting. Um, So I guess I have a few other questions about this deck.
All right.
First off, I guess I will ask you first. What are some cards that you've considered in this deck that you ended up cutting, like that are in traditional purple lists?
I wouldn't say I considered it, but I looked at the card. It's
Mm-hmm.
Dragonava Assassin, right? If you look at the other things, it's the 3-drop. There you go. It's the third card. I
This
said
guy.
its name right. Excellent. Yes. So if you look at purple lists, almost everyone plays this card. If you're a purple player, you probably love this card, and it makes a lot of sense. It's exactly what you want a purple card to be. It goes to 4K, doesn't die to Burning Force, draws you a card, has curse. Like that's what you want a purple card to be, right? It's also a 3-drop, so I can play it in the early game. The problem with this card is for its effect to work, you have to turn it sideways, which gives your opponent a core. So the way I look at this card is it says I draw a card and my opponent gains a core. And I think if you ask a lot of people in this game whether they rather gain one core or draw one card, they rather gain a core. So I'm actually effectively negging myself by attacking my opponent, which is probably the stupidest thing anyone's ever heard. But that's how I view this card, especially coming from not an aggressive deck. Like I don't want to hit my opponent once or twice, put them to 3, and just have them have more cores than me the whole game. Like I don't care about the cards.
That's interesting because
It
I
just goes bad.
actually, when we first started playing, it felt like attacking in this game felt very bad, but then like once you started playing the aggressive decks that can capitalize off of the tempo,
Mhm.
it seemed like way better. But in this deck, obviously, you're not really trying to out tempo your opponent.
No,
So,
I'm draw pass in this deck. So this card just doesn't do what a purple control deck wants to do.
hmm
Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but I'm pretty steadfast that I would never play this card in a purple control list. While this is probably the best purple aggro card in the game, so
interesting. Okay.
the card is not bad. It's just it doesn't do what the deck wants to do.
Are there any other purple cards that you've considered, or any other purple
Uh,
mid range
yeah,
cards?
I actually love Poison Shot. It was on the last page.
Poison shot.
I used to play this. I used to play this card in like every deck.
He lied.
Uh, why? It's on page 1, I think.
I'll
It was
just
right.
look it up. I'll just look it up.
Oh, sure. Surely it loads.
There we go.
Boom. Poison Shot. I don't know. I just like this card. To me it reads 2 for 1, right? I
hmm
set it. I trade with a dude. I draw the card, and then I pay 2 cores to ideally to kill something. That feels really cool. I can also just pay it from my hand. It's really sneaky. It works with the Nexus to draw a card. The problem that I found is that it really is just a filler at the end of the day. Most of the time, you're not 2 for 1ing. While it is cool to have removal, I was just like, I'd rather put cards in my deck that are high pressure rather than another reactive piece.
Okay.
Especially since I found in the middle game, like my opponents would just stop attacking me
Yeah.
and be like, "Hey, I can't even do anything," and then I'm just sitting with another dead card. Um, so we ended up cutting it, but I really do like this card.
Okay. And I guess one card that I'm curious that you have not mentioned. Well, I
Mm,
guess we talk about it a lot, but we don't play it. This is not
I
purple.
already know
Sorry.
it's Burning
So
Force, surely. Yeah.
surely Burning Force. Why are you not playing this card? And it was in a lot of our early
It's because
lists. We
I'm
talked
playing
about this a lot.
purple. This
I mean,
is a
surely.
red card. Um, yeah, it's actually crazy how broken I thought this card was
hmm
and how bad I think it is now. Um, and it's not a bad card. It's just that when everyone knows this card exists and everyone puts it in their deck, it's just so easy to play around. This card gets stuck in your hand so often. I don't feel like I need the removal for 2 tiny spirits. Like that doesn't seem like something that purple needs to be doing.
Okay.
The Nexus removal is very relevant, and if this was a purple heavy meta, I would consider it to kill Depths. But as we already talked about, I think that Starblast draw would just take its spot, and I would just rather draw 4 cards off Starblast draw than
Oh,
killing my
interesting.
opponent's Nexus anyway. So
So there's no Nexus right now that you feel like you need to destroy.
I don't think so. Like you'd say, oh, Rocket City, and sure, but then you're spending 5 cores on, 2 or 3 cores. You're just negging yourself in
Hmm.
terms of, tempo. And like if you don't play depths, you don't really draw that many cards um, on your turn anymore. So you don't really care that much about Rocket City when your deck doesn't rely on depths to play the game.
Yeah, I think for decks that are not red, splashing Burning Force is pretty expensive at 5 cores, and usually playing this as a reactive card feels kind of bad. Like you said, they've got their reduction to play their Nexus, perhaps, or their Nexus is just cheaper, so it feels really bad spending 5 cores to kill something. Um, but yeah, that was, I guess, the one last card that I was really curious about for the deck. Uh,
Yeah,
are there
sadness.
any cards? Are there any things that you would change after this tournament? There's some people I think that are going to be playing another Grand Open. I think there's a European Grand coming up, and I'm not sure if Axe Spider is legal. But hypothetically,
Yeah,
if it was, would you still play this deck? And if Axe Spider is legal, what would you change about the purple deck?
I have not done a lot of testing yet with X Spider, but with the prevalence of how many people,
I guess we
well,
should show them what Axe Spider is.
oh, they show the X Spider, yeah.
This card, not spider, but biter. um,
X Spider.
Axe Spider.
Yeah,
This
I
card is
I think this
ridiculous.
card dicks purple so hard. It's pretty unreal. The fact that it's a 5K too at 3 cores is actually insane because it's cheaper than Meduke, so it gets to block Meduke for free. I this card is so good against purple. If your opponent has enough cores, you can never ever remove this. So just imagine them playing a second one, and then they also have a Fulla, and then they have like, elk.
They
Like
don't
you don't even
even
really need.
they don't even need Fulla for this, right? Because
No, no, but if you have Fulla that can protect your elk and like
oh
one or two
yeah.
axe fighters, the real challenge is that you don't even need Armor Dragon now because Armor Dragon was just to stop deadly balance, and this card just stops deadly balance. You're like, I'll choose this one, and it never
Hmm.
dies. So your axe spider can actually protect your entire field against deadly balance.
Wait. You can't choose this for Deadly Balance as armor purple.
Oh, oh, you're right. I'm crazy.
You know
Sorry,
that's
guys.
a play that I tried to do, where I had Derm Dyna and Pegasione, and I was like, oh,
Oh, and you try to choose.
yeah, I was like,
You
I'm
try to
gonna
choose
play
the
around Deadly
Pegasus.
Balance. No, I
Uh,
can't target my own Pegasione, so
Yeah, so you guys haven't tested this card yet. But anyway, I still think it really does dick the purple deck just because there you go. We can't even deadly balance. It's untouchable. The card cannot be killed. It makes it really hard for purple to pressure them. You
yeah.
can still do your Meduke shenanigans, but it's just another card that gets in the way.
This is like a 3-in-1 card where it has purple yellow armor with Fulla's effect in a sense, and also it's a Spirit Reaper where it just doesn't die as a result of battle or even card effects. So this card
Yeah,
makes me feel like I don't really want to play purple as much.
you could
But I
also protect
think
your Rocket City, I guess.
yeah, you could. I think perhaps if we want to play purple moving forward with Axe Spider in the meta, maybe you need to play. I don't know. eh,
Yeah, there's no really out for that card. It's pretty crazy.
Do we have any
Um,
like removal in red or white then? I guess you can bounce it with Dream Bomb.
yeah, that's a feels bad though. Like what kind of play can a purple control deck do that can pay 5 mana to bounce an Axe Spider and then also off, right? I think the card is just another thing that stays on the board. Because before, if they just had full and one other thing, like if you curse combo them, they'd only have 2 things for sure at the end. Them having 1 to 4 more things on their field is pretty scary.
Yeah,
Because again,
this doesn't
you
even
can have
have the
multiples
cores
of this
removed.
card in the field. Yeah,
Oh man,
it's it's a scary card
it's a
for
scary
sure.
card. Um,
With that, I would not play purple going forward with X Player in the meta until I got more testing, which is really sad because I did think this was the best deck, and it's surely a very strong deck even with X Spider. Just when I go to events, I like playing like I don't know, just a deck that I think will win, and I think if I played against enough white control decks with X Spider, I would lose eventually.
You
So
know, that is another thing though. I feel like with the price of Axe Spider, like the availability of the card is kind of low right now, and in I think the US, the card is anywhere from around 35 to $40. I
yeah,
think it'll be hard to find someone or many people who will have the entire playset going into the next tournament. But also, I guess if they're competing, they probably will be spending all the money on
they
that
probably have
playset.
them all. Yeah. If I was gonna play in the next Grand Open, I think I would bring a whitelist.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
or I'd play purple aggro. I think the new six drop is a very good addition to the purple aggro deck. I think purple aggro is a little bit less explored than the other aggro decks as well.
I really
Um,
like the Death Knight or something. That card seems really strong. It's a very
the
moldable
new
card.
one,
No, the old one, the X rare. Like I don't
the
remember.
seven drop guy. Yeah,
Maybe it's just Knight. Maybe it's easier to find it with just the Knight. This guy, Dread Knight
yeah,
Nemesis.
Dread
I
Knight.
think it's
It's
pretty
like Death
sweet.
Knight. Yes,
And
I like this card.
okay,
It's a cool card.
yeah, it's pretty modal. When I played against it in a few of the games, uh, it can sack itself, which I thought was really cool. And you could get a lot of card advantage.
Yeah,
Um,
it's also like one of purple's biggest creatures, so
yeah, and then I
it breaks
guess
the 10 to 5
go ahead.
digit barrier. There you go.
Okay, so I really wanted to talk about Beldegor. This is like one of the best spirits in BSS, I think. Are there any
Mhm.
tricks that you wanted other people to know? Anything cool? Any cool interactions? How should we play Beldegor to get the maximum effectiveness?
Um, yeah, this card actually requires a lot more thinking than initially you would think. The one interaction I talked about was Deadly Balance, killing your own four drops to bring back Beldegor. But you can also do this when you're attacking too, to bring back, if you have one, two, or more in your grave. Just a high pressure play for your opponent because, you're trading, one card in hand, one card in field for one card in your opponent's field, and two more cards enter your field. Like, that's pretty crazy. Um, the thing with Belgador is it requires it itself to die, right? It needs to go in your grave, and it requires the four drops to die.
Hmm.
So you end up in this weird mini game where people are either trying to bounce your four drops or like sneak under them. Like the white
Hmm.
aggro deck will sneak under all your four drops powers. So it actually becomes like kind of shitty to keep your Belgador at three cores or your other four drops higher. Which is why Earth Spider Demon can kind of be nice that it's 2K, can kind of be nice that it's lower. You were talking about Mimir earlier. Maybe 1K is actually a buff if you think about it like this. But you want it low so that it can die and you bring Belgador back and you're getting extra blocks, you're getting extra kills. So
Yeah,
you do
in
have to do.
in our game, I actually was like, oh, I got to bounce all these four drops so that I can get
Mhm.
under your Beldegor or make it
Yes,
so that
I
you
was
can't
worried
bring it
about the whole
back.
time too, but I was like, man, if he just has four bounce effects right here, and then he
I
had five.
I guess we saw the play, we saw the line. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, is there anything else you wanted the viewers to know about your deck? Um, anything else?
I don't think so. I think if you bring this exact list, like for the main board, I think you'll have a pretty good time in the meta. I just played it at locals and I felt good in 3-0, but I think you'll have fun. Just remember to not turn your card sideways until you're sure that you are able to do so.
That's what you did in our top 16 game. So I guess with that, congrats again, Spencer.
Thanks.
We'll probably see more of Spencer on this channel in the future. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. The deck list will most likely be posted under the description, and maybe we'll see if we can post some sideboarding tips as well. And with that, thanks for watching, everyone, and thank you, Spencer, for being on the channel.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bye, everyone.